Hey, it's Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and you're watching Nerd News for May 31st, 2021. This is the show where I keep all of you up to date with all the happenings in geekdom and just want to share with everybody all the cool stories from the last week. Literally the day after I posted my last video, the biggest news that happened this week by far happened, and that was the Eternals trailer dropped. And from what I can tell, I feel like this Eternals trailer has been met with mixed results. That's not terribly surprising. The Eternals comic book has always been kind of a diamond in the rough and undiscovered sort of ground. If you're not familiar, it was created by Jack Kirby, and Jack Kirby is obviously, on the Mount Rushmore of Marvel Comics, and he definitely has done a really cool job with this universe. And it'll be really interesting to see these characters come to the MCU. But I think a lot of people are like, well, who are those guys? Why should I care? I think there's some of that going on. What's caught a lot of focus is the fact that there is sort of this non-interference thing going on. And a lot of people are like, well, how come when Thanos was taking over, we didn't see what happened? Guys, I'm sure we'll figure it out when the movie comes out. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of explanation for that within the movie. I'm not too worried about that. I think it's going to be really exciting. I like a lot of the cast that's been announced for it. And for people that have some kind of doubt about this, I know there's some people that are basically saying like, oh, this is where the MCU finally, misses a step. No one liked Guardians of the Galaxy before that movie came out. I mean, sure, some people did, of course, but they were not a popular franchise. It was not like a really hot comic book. And look what Guardians of the Galaxy is now. They're some of the most popular characters in Marveldom. So I have a lot of faith that they can do a good job with the Eternals, and I'm really excited for that movie. Some of my favorite modern creators, Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, will be doing a CGC in-house signing event. This is going to be a really tempting one for me to send some books in. I'm a massive fan of their run on Power Girl. They did most of the entire previous volume of the Harley Quinn series. Amanda Connor does a really cool art style. She's done a lot of great stuff over the years. Submissions for that signing are due on June 28th, 2021. And speaking of legendary duos, they also announced a CGC signing event for Walter and Louise Simonson. Walter and Louise Simonson have a rich history in comic books, and there's definitely a lot of stuff that people are going to want to send in to have these icons sign for sure. Submissions for that signing event are due on June 30th, 2021. All right, so I don't talk about video games too often on this channel, but I do love them. I used to work in the video game industry in a couple different ways, actually. And one of the series that I really like is Far Cry. It's had some missteps throughout its franchise history, but Far Cry 6 had a gameplay reveal trailer. Of course, about a year ago, we saw the story trailer drops for Far Cry 6, and that looked really cool. Giancarlo Esposito is playing the villain for it. He's playing this super imposing kind of dictator figure, and we got to see a little bit of the heroine for the game. That's right, heroine. It's going to be a female-led game, which is really cool. And there's just a lot of neat stuff to unpack there. A lot of cool homemade style weapons or jury rigged style weapons, and just a lot of neat stuff. One thing that I thought was interesting is they did mention that you'll be going it alone. So we had a lot of companions in Far Cry 5. And Far Cry 5 was a fun gameplay kind of game, but the setting was really cool as far as like how it looked. But boy, it was a weird story, a lot of like militia, Montana kind of stuff, and it was a little cringy. It had a kind of a cool payoff at the end, but I'm looking forward to this entry. I'm thinking we might get kind of back to form for Far Cry. For some reason, this story, the setup, everything kind of reminds me of Far Cry 4, which I really enjoyed. And Far Cry 2 is my favorite, if you're wondering. No one probably is, but it's my favorite. And so I'm really excited to see what happens with this game. I'll be playing it on my X Series X for sure, and I'm looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. Next up, we got some big casting. There were some rumors that attached Keanu Reeves to playing Kraven, the Hunter, in a Spider-Man feature. And now we actually have official casting that Aaron Taylor Johnson will be playing Kraven, which is pretty cool. If you haven't read the Last Hunt storyline, it's something you should go check out. It's a really good primer for what Kraven's all about. Some news came out for the Marvel Wastelanders podcast, which is kind of their next series in their sort of story-driven podcast they're doing. Timothy Busfield is playing Old Man Star-Lord, Peter Quill. You have Chris Elliott playing Rocket Raccoon. Vanessa Williams is doing Emma Frost's voice, which is really cool. And Stephen Lang, you might remember him from films like Avatar, for example, is going to be playing Old Man Hawkeye, Clint Barton, which is really neat. And Susan Sarandon's going to be playing Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow. Just a really cool kind of series of podcasts coming out, Marvel Wastelanders. Check it out. I definitely enjoyed like the Wolverine stuff they did with Richard Armitage. So I'm really excited for this. So let's talk some Marvel Legends news. There were some really cool announcements, especially for somebody like me who's an X-Men fan. I know not everybody was a series of the Age of Apocalypse Wave 1. And I think there were some misses in it, but I did like the Age of Apocalypse storyline. It's actually one of my favorite X events they've ever done. And we're getting Wave 2, which has my favorite character, Cyclops, so I'm super excited for that. We're also going to get Sabretooth, who's one of my favorite characters from that particular series as well. The Build-A-Figure is this giant, cool Colossus figure. They did a really good job on that one. We're going to get a Shadow Cat, a Legion, an Iceman, and Magneto and Rogue, which is just fantastic. That's most of the characters I wanted from Age of Apocalypse. It would have been cool to get some more villains. We really only got Sugar Man from the Build-A-Figure, and we got Dark Beast, and then they did the Deluxe Apocalypse. That's not too bad, but you know, I actually feel kind of dumb. I'm kind of forgetting right now at the moment that Cyclops is a villain in that storyline, so I guess we're getting him as well. But he does basically switch sides at the end, so I guess that's why I don't think of him as a villain from that storyline. There was another big announcement too. They're doing a retro Spider-Man 2099. I'm super excited about this. There's no way I was going to pay the scalper prices for the last figure that they did. This is a redeco. I don't know that I love the paint job quite as much, but hopefully it's a little bit cleaner in the paint apps. A lot of people are upset that it's reusing that Spidey pizza mold, but I've never really had problems with that mold myself. It does come with 3 extra sets of hands and a web cape. Definitely a cool figure. I'll be getting that one too. By far though, the most shocking announcement was a Callisto figure. And this Callisto looks fantastic. Callisto's had some kind of weird looks over the years that I haven't been a fan of. She's supposed to be attractive and she's looked kind of ghoulish sometimes. So it's really kind of a weird juxtaposition there. But I think this Callisto looks fantastic. It's definitely one I'm going to want to pick up as well. All right, guys, so those were all the big nerd stories I was able to dig up for you this week. If I missed any, let me know down below in the comments, and hopefully I'll cover them again on next week's episode. As a reminder, if you want to support this channel and help me upgrade my lighting, my camera, all that kind of stuff, I do take donations through Ko-fi. Basically, you can donate as little as $1 if you want to. You can also do a monthly subscription if you like. However you want to handle it. It's kind of like Patreon, but it's a lot less messy, a lot less fussy. You don't have to worry about getting charged every month if you don't want to do that. And yeah, I definitely appreciate that. Thanks for all the people that have done it. It's been a huge help. Also, thank you for all your kind words. I've had a lot of positive messages about the channel recently, and I really appreciate that. It helps motivate me to just keep doing this and making videos for you guys. And one of those people I definitely want to give a special shout out to is Dank over at Dank Comics. He was nice enough to give me a really cool positive mention on his channel. I really appreciated that. I've been watching a lot of his stuff recently. I really like some of the stuff he did. He did a really cool video on AOKs recently and kind of the psychology or the actual meaning of it. It's a really good watch. I'd recommend going and checking it out. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I'll catch you on the next one. And I just want to remind you, as always, hey, 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 hey. Read comics every day.